Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. How did you even get out of prison in the first place? I heard you were sent to Tartarus. No one escapes there, shouted Todoroki. I was. And relax, I'm the only one who got out, and the Tartarus guards have no idea I escaped yet. That's because I met someone with a quirk who could make one exact clone of myself that I could transfer my consciousness to once my original self dies. The only problem is that this guy takes a while to create it. But enough of this. I'm out, and it's time to resume my life's work. I heard All Might is retired now thanks to All for One. So naturally I plan to make a statement to Endeavor by taking down his son. It's my way of saying you're next. With confusion and worry, Momo then inquired, why does he act like he knows who you are, Todoroki-san? Have you two met before somewhere? Yes. We ran into one another a while back while we were serving our first internships. Myself, Midoriya, and Ida fought, but had to keep it a secret because we didn't have licenses to use our quirks yet, so the pros covered for us. Replied Todoroki. Whatever you do, do not let this guy cut you. His quirk paralyzes you for a certain amount of time if he ingests your BLD, and that time varies based on your BLD type. Said Izuku. Enough talk, yelled Stain. He lunged forward towards Todoroki with the intent to cut his arm with a dagger. Shoto in typical fashion activates his ice quirk to create an ice wall as a shield and attempts to jump back, knowing that he will likely break through. He does, but Deku activated one for all full cowling just before and managed to land a blow as soon as the ice wall shattered. Texi is smashed. He shouted. Stain is knocked back 20 feet and rolls around twice on the ground before he settles on the ground. He gets up slowly but acts as though he took little damage. Not bad, kid. The rumors I heard at Tartarus are true after all. All Might really did pass his power on to you. If you survive this, you'll be a great successor to him, he declared. Izuku's classmates naturally became shocked to hear such a declaration. When Ochako heard this, she asked out loud, All Might the successor? Izuku gasped when he realized that she, Momo, and Shoto heard his secret. As Midoriya becomes distracted in this instant, Stain used the opening to tear through part of Deku's arm with his dagger and opened a major wound. Just when Stain was about to lick his arm, however, Ochako rushed in. Stop! She yelled, and used her training from Gunhead to twist the knife out of his hand to knock it to the ground. She then used his now twisted arm to throw him to the ground face down. This stunned him briefly, but he then twists over with a new dagger in his hand and reaches out to stab Uraraka in the leg. She screams in pain, and he just in the nick of time licks part of her leg, making her paralyzed. Uraraka-san! Screamed Deku. Stain was about to take out his sword and do even more serious damage, but Yaoyorozu came through by firing a cannon at him that she spent time making while the rest of them fought. Stain mostly moved out of the way from the cannonball, but was still grazed by it in the arm, and Todoroki threw the hottest flames he could muster at him to knock him further back, also singeing him in several places in the process. The three of them rallied around Ochako to fortify their protection around her. Ochako-chan, can you still fight when the paralysis wears off? Asked Momo. I think so, but how long does this last? Asked Uraraka. Deku then asks her, what's your BLD type? Type B. Please tell me it won't be long. Midoriya and Todoroki bulged their eyes at hearing this. Oh no, this is bad. This is really bad. You'll be like that for 8 minutes. You have the worst possible BLD type against his quirk. Guys, we gotta take him down fast. I'd say she's only been like that for 2 minutes so far, declared Deku. Yaoyorozu then said, guys, I have an idea, but I need you to cover for me for a few minutes. Got it, the two of them said in unison. Momo just realized that Stain has a lot of various metal parts all over his body. So she begins taking the time to create a large, powerful magnet with her quirk, knowing that it will take a few minutes until it's ready. Stain looks on at them with amazement. You both sure have improved since our last encounter. All four of you are displaying true heroism as well. It's such a shame that your father Endeavor is nothing like you. So what if he isn't? You make me sick with your self-righteous, ideological garbage. You have no right to judge other heroes for whether they're fake or not. And we won't let you hurt anyone else either. Todoroki said melodramatically, but with intensity. Let's see you try. Says Stain while unleashing every throwing knife he has available. He threw one at Izuku and Shoto each, but as they dodged, he used that opening to throw his remaining knives over at Momo. He was starting to see what she was up to with that magnet, and two of the knives managed to make contact with her. One stabbed her in the arm as she was trying to hold her outfit in place while the magnet was still coming out of her body, and the other hit her in the thigh. She yelped in pain, but kept her composure long enough to complete the magnet. However, the tendons in her arm made it go limp, and she was incapable of lifting it. At this point, about 5 minutes had passed since Ochako became paralyzed. "Guys, I can't lift this. I need you to use it," shouted Momo. Todoroki ran over to her to try to use the magnet, but Stain threw one of his daggers, and it landed in the area of Shoto's hip. He groaned, but tried to start picking it up while fighting the pain. "Detrui it smash," yelled Deku as he tried to hit Stain again. The punch only connected to the wall, busting it open, however, because Stain moved out of the way. He ran over to Todoroki and liked the side of his hip to paralyze him as well. Shoto had a look of shock on his face when he realized he couldn't move anymore. "No," yelled Momo. She ran away from him for the intent of hoping to avoid the same fate, as well as to think of her next move. Stain wasn't far away and moved in to lick her arm, but just before the very instant he was about to paralyze her too, Deku came out of nowhere, with black WHB. In a frenzied state, his tentacles grabbed onto Stain and threw him hard onto the ground. The tentacle didn't let him go, however, and then proceeded to ram him into the restaurant wall. Rage continued to fill Izuku's eyes at the thought that his enemy was close to achieving his goal with Todoroki. He also seethed at the thought of him assaulting not only Momo, but his closest friend Ochako. Although Izuku didn't have any control over himself at this point, he thought in himself, "Stain will not get away with this. I will make him suffer for it." With about 1 minute remaining until Uraraka would be able to move again, Stain was starting to feel more desperate in this state. He tried cutting the tentacle, but had no effect. Deku continued the assault by tightening his grip on his enemy's chest, and made Stain also scream in pain. A slight sadistic smile could be seen forming on Midoriya's face because of it. Both Yaoyorozu and Todoroki were becoming scared that their friend was exhibiting this behavior. Worse, Ochako watched with grief and worry, causing her to start crying. "Deku-kun, please don't end it this way. If you keep this up, you'll be no better than him. Be the hero I believe in." As these cries reached his ears, Deku suddenly snapped back to reality. The black WHP power began to recede back inside of Midoriya's body, and he was left in a state of confusion. Seeing an opportunity to capitalize, Stain ran over to Yaoyorozu and liked her arm because she was distracted from the last few minutes just to make sure she didn't possibly get in the way of him trying to assault Deku. With 3 of the 4 Class 1A members down for the count, Stain suddenly felt a little more confident of his situation, even though Midoriya was the one guy that gave him the most trouble. Still, he was battered and wasn't sure that continuing this fight would be a wise idea. He ran towards Todoroki and grabbed a knife so that he could move in and deliver the final blow and terminate his life. Shoto and Momo lay helpless. Todoroki's life flashes before his eyes as he sees a dagger sail towards his chest. But with about 6 inches to spare, Deku rushed in with another attack. Delaware smash. The punch knocked him to the ground again, and Deku geared up to deliver the final blow. But as Stain started getting up, he finally saw an opening and liked the wound on Deku's arm to paralyze him. Izuku gasped. Stain took a minute to get up and steady himself after taking a huge beating. He knew time was short, but he also reveled in the fact that his toughest foe was no longer in his way. "Great fight, kid. You clearly care about your friends, but you're too much of a liability for me to ignore. There's just too many phony heroes out there to get rid of. First I finish you off, then on to Endeavor's son." He steadies himself and takes out his last dagger on hand to move towards Deku's heart, but one last obstacle stops him in his tracks, that literally. Right when Stain was about to deliver the final blow, Ochako regained the ability to move again and ran over to him to activate her crushing gravity on him. Stain would barely be able to walk if this happened to him at full strength, but in his weakened condition, he fell down helplessly to the ground. What is this?" he asked in disbelief. Uraraka responds solemnly with a furrowed brow. "It's part of my quirk. Normally I use zero gravity, but when I feel angry or cornered, the opposite happens. I don't understand why you'd go so far to punish people you deem to be fake heroes. but I'm not going to let you take this any further. Not only did you ruin our evening and nearly kill us, but you hurt and tormented my best friend, Deku. She starts forming tears in her eyes. And that's something I'll never forgive you for. You deserve worse than being sent back to prison for this. Uncharacteristically, she then kicks him in the face as hard as she could to knock him out cold and starts to sob. 10 minutes later, some professional heroes show up on the scene to investigate. When they find Stain on the ground, they use every form of restraints that they had on hand and call in a heavily reinforced armored vehicle to haul him away. Not long after this, however, Stain was pronounced dead as he was taken back to Tartarus. Meanwhile, all 4 members of Class 1A were taken to the hospital even though their wounds weren't life-threatening. As the 4 of them were driven in the ambulance, no one had anything to say. However, Midoriya was feeling a slew of emotions and couldn't help but worry and stare at Ochako, who had her head in her hands and was still crying. What would he say to her when the time was right? Would he be able to say or do something to comfort her? Would things return to some sense of normalcy now that Stain revealed his secret? He was about to find out. 2 days had passed since their battle with Stain. All 4 of them were seen and kissed by Recovery Girl yesterday, but were kept overnight for observation as well as time to rest thanks to her quirk draining their energy. Now that they each were feeling well enough to leave, Izuku knew he needed to talk to Ochako, Todoroki, and Yaoyorozu about all that happened, but especially regarding what Stain said. The damage was done. His secret was revealed to more of his classmates, but he needed to make sure that it didn't spread to anyone else. They were all walking out together, so this was the most opportune time to address what happened. Hey guys, I know we've dealt with a lot the last few days, but I really need to talk with you and get in touch with All Might. I figured as much. That didn't sound like something you wanted to have other people know about, replied Todoroki. Deku, is it really true? Asked Ochako. He had a long pause, and then finally answered yes. Is. 30 minutes later, the 4 of them met up with All Might in a private room near the principal's office at Izuku's request. All Might was happy to meet with them, but was puzzled as to why his classmates were there. Greetings, young Midoriya. I am glad to see that you've each made a full recovery from your fight with Stain. What can I do for you? Deku slightly hung his head knowing the bad news he was about to deliver. All Might, we have a problem. During our fight with Stain, he leaked our secret to the 3 of them that you passed your power down to me. They know now. All Might bulged his eyes slightly, and then smacked his face with frustration. DMN, this is bad. The more people that know about this, the more you'll be in danger of losing One for All. He sighs. Well, what's done is done. You know the truth now, so I imagine you each have questions about it. What would you like to know? Momo raised her hand first. I always thought it was interesting to see Midoriya-san have such a similar power to yours, but I thought that was just a coincidence until now. Why does this need to be kept a secret? Because One for All is a quirk that has been passed down and cultivated by several different people, growing stronger over time. Ironically, All for One is responsible for creating it, because he passed on a power stockpiling quirk to his brother, who he thought was quirkless. However, it turns out that this brother, who had a strong sense of justice against All for One, had a quirk of passing on other quirks that were given to him, thus using it to try to one day defeat All for One. He and those close to him that know the truth about One for All have been trying to take it back ever since. If villains ever manage to do so, our way of life will be in shambles. Todoroki raised his hand next. How many people know about this secret now? Principal Nizu, Recovery Girl, a few other UA faculty members, and young Bakugo Katsuki. Shoto raised his eyebrows. Bakugo? Why does he of all people know? Izuku rubbed his neck and hung his head in shame. That one is my fault. I didn't tell Kakin outright, but I made the mistake of dropping some hints to him, and he eventually figured it out on his own. That was around the time he and I fought each other and got suspended. Heh. Next, Ochako had a question. So is this black WHP power that he's displayed lately also part of One for All? In a way, yes. One of the former holders of One for All used to have a black WHP quirk just like it, and we've been trying to find ways to help him MS-to-R it ever since. Said All Might. Tears start to form in her eyes, and she responds. I've just been worried about him ever since the time it first took over him. He's always been angry after it comes out, but goes away as soon as he calms down. It could be a useful power, but it scares me that it might consume him one day if he's not careful. Don't worry, young Uraraka. The man who had the black WHP quirk had a temper, but he was a good man. We just need to find a way to help him control it properly. I thank you that you've been willing to help him with that, and hope you succeed in it." The room went silent, and no one else had any more questions to ask. "Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I'll let you get back to your classes and internships. I'm here if any other concerns pop up, but again, please promise me that you won't reveal this to anyone else," said All Might. "We promise," the three of them said together. At that, Midoriya and All Might thanked them for their time, and they each went their separate ways. Ochako, however, had something more to say and conveyed that to Midoriya. "Deku-kun, can we talk more after class is done today?" Sure, Uraraka-san. Let's head up there for now, and I'll be happy to chat after that." The two of them remained silent as they walked to class, and although they were physically present, this was the only thing on their minds for the next few hours. School and hero training was done for the day, and the Class 1A students all scattered to whatever it was they needed to do next with dusk approaching. Ochako and Izuku took one look at each other and knew what they needed to do next. She walked over towards him and tried to smile as if it was just a usual day. He smiled back and tried to make small talk at first, but as they walked closer to the dorms it became awkwardly silent again. Deku-kun, would you mind if we went someplace private?" "Sure." They walked back over to the training fields and saw no one, and that's when Uraraka started to open up more. "Deku-kun, this is something I've struggled with for a while now, but I have to say it. We've been good friends ever since we met one another, and you've done so much to help me grow as a hero and a person. Little by little, this feeling of friendship I've felt towards you has grown into something more, and even though I've tried to push these feelings down, they just keep coming back. At first I thought this was the right thing to do because I didn't want it to be a distraction to our training, yet now my feelings have intensified after seeing what's happening to you. And now to find out that you have the pressure of being a successor to All Might, I can't take this anymore." Her voice quivers and tears start to fall down her cheeks. "Deku-kun, I love you. And I'm so worried about you. You've been my best friend ever since we became classmates, and the more I get to know you, the more I want to be like you. And it's tearing me apart inside to see you struggling with this new ability. I want to help you control it, but I don't know if I'm even the right person for that job." Notwithstanding the subtle hints that his classmates have dropped about her lately, and that he now had feelings for her himself, it was still a shock for Izuku to hear her say that. Though flustered, he became teary-eyed at seeing Ochako like this, so he took her hands into his and looked directly at her to give her a response. His voice cracked, but he still managed to get the words out. "Why, you're wrong, Uraraka-san. When we were fighting Stain, and I saw him attack you, it filled me with so much rage that I lost control. I don't remember much about those moments, but I do remember that I wanted him to suffer for not only hurting Todoroki-san and Yaoza-san, but you especially. You're also the reason I snapped out of it and stopped losing myself in this new power. Look, I may be clumsy when it comes to this kind of stuff, but you're one of the people who has been by my side through thick and thin. I even chose my hero name because of you. I just started to feel this way inside myself, but did I think I love you too?" Ochako was now crying harder, but this time it was tears of happiness. She embraced Midoriya in the tightest bear hug she could give to him. She sobbed in his arms for several minutes, and when it felt right, he leaned in to give her a slow, gentle kiss that gradually intensified. When they finally stopped, they looked into one another's eyes and smiled at one another with tears in both of their eyes. Izuku was the first to speak. What do you say this Saturday we try again with our date night? Odds are we can't possibly have 2 ruined dates in a row. You pick what we'll do this time too." Her usual bubbly smile returned in an instant. "I would love that. Let's go out for matcha, and then do karaoke like we originally intended." Deku became blue in the face at the thought of singing poorly in front of her, but that just made her giggle. They began walking back towards their dorm rooms, and it just dawned on them that they'll have some explaining to do to their peers if they decide not to hide their new relationship. Uraraka-san, this is a really cool thing for us to be a couple and all, but it has already been difficult enough in the past for me to merely talk on the phone or when you've stood really close by. If it's all right with you, I'd like to keep us a secret for a while until I get used to this. Is that okay with you?" She laughs at the notion, but understands where he's coming from. Well, I guess a few weeks should be okay. I'm not going to lie about it, though, if one of the girls suspects something. Mina is an especially tough girl to evade on this topic. She loves to play matchmaker and even dared me to kiss you way back when our training was about to start last weekend. Midoriya chuckled himself. So that's why you were running away from her. Haha. I was wondering about that. Yeah, I guess she'd spread the news like wildfire if she found out first. All the more reason to keep her guessing if she's given you that much trouble. They stop holding hands and put on the friend zone persona as they walk back into the dorms and return to their rooms for homework and preparation for their next day of work for their internships. They still needed some mental rest from all that happened, but it was a great feeling for both of them to finally let out their true feelings. They wouldn't get to see much of one another for a while except weekends, but it would make their time all the more enjoyable. Girls sure are weird, Todoroki thought to himself. He was walking home from the train station to his house and was lost in deep thought. He and Yaoyorozu just passed their final exam and felt some relief that it was over. He was glad to have helped Momo regain her confidence after the tournament, and that she helped him think of how to defeat Aizawa. But he was confused. Why was she holding her hands up to her mouth? Was she crying? At first I thought she was about to throw up, but then it sounded like crying. If it was that, why was she? I just said something nice to her. People don't cry over compliments. Maybe Fuyumi could explain it to me. Todoroki walks into his house and sees his sister reading a book in the living room. Oh, hi, Shoto. Welcome home. How did your test go? She asks with a smile. Todoroki slightly acknowledged it with a brief bow of his head. It was okay, I guess. We passed. He pauses for a few seconds. Fuyumi, something weird happened today. I had to work with a girl named Yaoyorozu in my practical exam. She's the smartest student in our class, but she's been in a slump until recently because she really came through to help both of us win a match against Aizawa today. I said so to her, and she started acting really weird. She was holding her mouth and looked like she was about to throw up. Then I asked if she was okay, and she said it was nothing, but then I saw tears. Did I do something to upset her? Why would someone cry from a compliment? Fuyumi's face lit up. Half of it was excitement that he has an interest in a girl all of a sudden. The other half was humor at how dense he is. She couldn't help but laugh for several seconds before regaining control of herself. Oh, Shoto, you're cracking me up. How can you not see this one little brother? Of course girls cry from compliments sometimes. I know we've had a harsh and weird upbringing thanks to Dad, but how could you not see that? You should ask her out on a date. I bet she'd like that after today. Todoroki looked at her sideways with a slight blush. A date? I don't even know anything about dating. Ask her on one anyway. I can give you some pointers on what to do and what to say, but you need this kind of experience. More than hero training? He asked. Kids your age need to go out and have some fun, but even this can be hero training in a way. Dates will help you learn to socialize more and relate to other people, especially the ladies. Besides, if you don't learn those skills, you'll ultimately end up being a similar hero to Dad. Is that what you want? I'll text her right now, he said without a second thought. Yaoyorozu's driver parked her car in the driveway and opened the door for her to get out and go inside. She was also feeling a slew of emotions. She felt like a huge burden had been taken off her shoulders after passing that test. She thought she fumbled it again for a minute, but it worked out just right anyway. Todoroki was so clueless and yet so sweet too. It doesn't hurt that he's the best-looking guy in the class either. I wonder if maybe we should meet up sometime. But he seems so quiet. Maybe he wouldn't go for that sort of thing. Suddenly, she hears her phone go off, indicating a text message. She looked at who sent it. Todoroki. Hey, this is Todoroki. Would you like to go eat some soba with me tomorrow night? Her eyes bulged. He's actually asking me out. And right after I just thought of doing so myself. Oh my gosh. What do I say? Should I say yes? If I say no, he might hate me later. But what will my classmates think when they find out? I shouldn't wait long to respond either, or else he'll think I'm being rude. Here goes nothing. Sure. What time did you want to go? Todoroki texts back 10 seconds later. Does tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock work for you? That's perfect. How about we walk around the mall after that? I haven't gotten to do that in a while, and it's fun to browse stores. 10 more seconds pass. Okay. See you tomorrow then. Momo smiles and sends a reply. Thanks, Todoroki-san. And thanks for earlier today too. Fuyumi was jumping up and down and hugging Shoto so hard that he started having trouble breathing. I can't believe this. My little brother is going on a date. Shoto finally managed to break free. Okay, so now what? I don't even know what to do next. Don't worry, little brother. I've got it covered. Tomorrow we'll get you a haircut and look for a decent outfit for you to wear. Then we'll go buy some flowers and have you pick her up. Shoto felt the need to object. Isn't that a bit much? We're only friends, and this makes it seem like I'm trying to become her boyfriend. If I know you, Shoto, you're going to just show up in your usual rags and act really passive. Trust me, you gotta step it up if you want to keep having more dates. Practice, practice, practice. All right, let's get this over with, he says reluctantly. The next evening, Momo waited in the lobby of her mansion for word of Todoroki's arrival. She was wearing a purplish-red silk blouse with skinny black ankle breathes and modestly high heels. However, she doesn't usually wear makeup very often, and this would be the first time Todoroki would see her with mascara and lipstick. Am I overdoing it? This is only a first date after all. But I also don't want him to think I don't care either, she thought to herself as she put her hands up to her cheeks. Just then, a servant in her mansion walked up to inform her of a Mr. Shoto Todoroki requesting permission to enter. She became bright red and fanned her face. Yes. Let him in, please. About a minute passes as his car takes the trek across their long driveway and pulls up to her porch. Todoroki gets out of his car looking like a totally different person. He was wearing a generic baseball cap, but she could see that the hair on his sides were freshly cut. He also wore a blue untucked checkered polo shirt with jeans and was carrying a small bouquet of daisies. Hey, this is for you. Momo had a slight blush in her cheeks and smiled briefly. Oh, thank you, Todoroki-san. She handed it off to her attendant, and he placed it in a nearby vase. Shall we get going? I'm getting hungry, he says nonchalantly. Sure. I'm looking forward to this. I haven't been out and about like this in a while. The two of them get into Todoroki's car and drive off to the restaurant. About 5 minutes have passed, and it's only been silence. Momo could tell Todoroki was trying to think of something to say, but didn't know how he should break the silence. So how you liking the weather lately? Momo internally rolls her eyes. Was it a mistake to say yes to a date? I'm glad he dressed up a little, but I hope it isn't this dry all night, she thought. I like it just fine. Spring is something I always look forward to. Do you have a favorite season? Winter, I guess. I haven't really thought about it. The car goes silent again. Momo wishes he would say more, but takes the initiative this time to say something herself. Thank you again for the other day with our exam. Because of that slump I was struggling with, I would have blamed myself if we hadn't passed. You're welcome. Why did you feel that way about yourself? I've never seen you that way in class before. Ever since I lost to Tokoyami-san in the sports festival so quickly, I started to doubt myself as a would-be hero. But hearing you believe in me during the test helped snap me out of that. Just stating the obvious. Things go silent again until they arrive at the restaurant, but Momo felt appreciative of Todoroki's brief commentary. Dinner at the soba shop Todoroki chose went by without incident. Momo was still wishing that he would open up more, but she noticed that he talked mostly when it was about class in general or hero work, so she stuck to those topics. By now, the two of them have been walking through the mall and browsing a few different stores for about an hour. Both were ready to just go home, but then the atmosphere becomes tense. A gang of 5 muscular young adult thugs see Momo, and one of them raises his eyebrows. Guys, look. It's that chick from the sports festival that did those hair care commercials. One of them said, yeah, you're right. Let's go talk to her. Seconds later, they surround the two of them. For now, they don't recognize Todoroki due to him looking so different. Todoroki just stands there indifferent. Momo, however, starts to look uncomfortable, not knowing what they might try to pull, and doesn't like the looks on their faces. Pro heroes in training or not, there's no telling what kind of quirks they may have, and we're outnumbered. Well, hello there, gorgeous. What's a babe like you doing with this loser? Said one of the thugs. Yeah, how about you ditch that pansy butt and come with us? We'd love for you to create some condoms with that quirk of yours so we can create an explosive evening with you. The other 4 laugh. Momo had a look of disgust on her face, but before she could react any further, Todoroki activated his ice quirk and froze all 5 of them in an instant. His facial expression was one of pure indignation. I ought to just leave you like that and let you freeze to death. Responding to people who trash talk me isn't even worth my time, but I'll make you pay dearly for what you just said to her. Complete fear and dread showed on the faces of all 5 as Todoroki glared at them. Holy CRP. It's that other guy from the sports festival. I can't believe we didn't recognize you. Said one of the thugs. Yeah. We're sorry. We'll never talk to her like that again. We promise. Yaoyorozu then intervened. It's okay, Todoroki-san. I appreciate your help, but I'll handle this. He sighs. The ice starts to melt, and they almost are able to move again. However, during this whole exchange, She had created some pepper spray to arm herself with and sprayed each one of them in the eyes. They each groan in pain while holding their eyes and try to run away, but two of them bump into each other, and another slips and falls. "Get out of our sights right now and don't ever let us see either of you again," shouts Todoroki. All five of them scatter like roaches and don't look back. After Todoroki calms down a little bit, Yaoyorozu notices that a tear was forming in one of his eyes. Her eyes widen. What's wrong, Todoroki-san? They were no match for you. Why would they make you cry? He stood there reluctant to speak. "Let's talk about this in the car." She nods, and the two of them head to their parking spot. They both get in and start driving back to Momo's mansion before Todoroki feels ready to talk. "Those JRKS that made me break down because it sort of reminds me of my home life growing up. My BSDRD father not only put me through incredibly harsh training as a child just to be used as a tool to one day surpass All Might, but he wouldn't let me ever talk or play with my siblings. He didn't let me play with other kids either. Worst of all, he was also abusive to my mother. This scar on my eye happened because she threw boiling water on my face, but I blame him for it because all that abuse made her reach a breaking point, and she's had to stay in a mental health center ever since. My dad may not be a pervert like those thugs from tonight, but whenever I see a woman treated poorly, it always reminds me of how much I hate him." A couple more tears stream down his face as he finishes talking. Momo couldn't help but tear up herself. "I'm so sorry to hear that, Todoroki-san. I had no idea. No wonder you seem so closed off." She put her hand on his arm to comfort him. "I didn't deal with that kind of abuse at home growing up, but I can relate to home life not being the greatest. I've enjoyed extravagant wealth my whole life, but I feel like I don't even know my own parents that well. Both of them are always working, and I never get to see them except maybe once every few weeks in passing. I've always been pampered with the most expensive designer clothing and highest quality chefs in the world, yet I always relish the opportunity to just do everyday normal things like shop in regular stores and eat at small-time restaurants. That's why I wanted to walk around the mall with you." Todoroki nodded. "Makes sense. I'm sorry if I seem so quiet. Since I never got to play much as a normal kid, learning to socialize is a big challenge. I only asked you out, dressed up like this, and gave you those flowers because that's what my sister told me I should do. I wouldn't have had a clue what to do tonight if she hadn't." Momo smiles. "Sounds like you have a really great sister at least." "Yeah." 5 minutes pass, and Todoroki drops off Momo to the front of her mansion. He was about to speak, but she beat him to the punch. "I'm really glad that we were able to go out together tonight. How about we have another date like this one next week?" "Sure. And thanks for listening." "You too, Todoroki-san." She leans over and kisses him on the cheek, and then gets out of the car. She waves goodbye as he drives off and walks back inside. "Wow, I should tell Jiro-chan about this. Mina-chan would be excited to hear about this too." Todoroki had a huge smile for the first time in a very long time. He had never known someone like her. He was really glad that his sister encouraged him to ask Momo out, and looked forward to seeing her at training camp and class in general. Home life around his father was still loathsome, but it was quite a breath of fresh air to confide in someone like her. Fuyumi was going to tease him for sure once she found out how the night went, but he couldn't care less about that. Love tends to do that to a person. Another week of internships and classes at UA had come and gone, and the eagerly anticipated night for when Izuku and Ochako would have their first date as a couple arrived. Though they texted each other a few times a day and saw each other in class a little bit here and there was no time for flirting or shooting the breeze since they needed to stay on top of their homework and training. But not tonight. Now was the time for some romance between the two and some well-earned relaxation from a tough day of joint training. Since Ochako was confident that Yaoyorozu would keep their secret between her and Deku safe, she revealed their plans to go on another date together as a couple. However, Ochako also needed a small favor to ask. Her budget didn't allow much in the ways of a decent dating wardrobe, so she hoped that Momo could either take her shopping or make some new clothes for her through her quirk. "Ah, how cute. Of course I'll help you with that, Ochako-chan. What sort of clothes did you have in mind? Something more formal or casual nice? As much as I'd love to borrow one of your elegant dresses, I don't want to let on to other people yet that Deku-kun and I are a thing now. Besides, it's more my style to just have a nice blouse and skinny jeans. I wouldn't mind getting a new purse to match, though." Momo beamed with excitement. "I wish we had time to go shopping together, but since your date starts in another hour and a half, I know just the outfit that would be perfect for you. She brings out a green blouse and matching purse. It's obvious that his favorite color is green, so you know he'll love seeing you in this. Ochako quickly nodded in agreement. Thanks so much, Momo-chan. You've been such a huge help. Oh, don't mention it. In fact, keep it. I can easily make another if I want to wear it again. They give each other a quick hug and part ways. Ochako beams with excitement as she thinks about their coming date and can't wait to see the look on Deku's face when he sees her this way. Izuku, however, was stressing about their coming date. Since he and Uraraka were now an official couple, he wanted to step it up a little. He slicked his hair back the best he could, put on a new shirt that he bought to dress up in, and a bottle of cologne in hopes that she'd like the scent, but still wondered if that was enough. Ochako already made herself look so pretty on their last date that was ruined by stain, and he wanted her to feel like he was making the effort for her too. Well, here goes nothing, he thought. The two of them did their best to leave the dorms as discreetly as possible and somehow succeeded. But now came the tough part for Deku. They spotted one another, and she waved him down, and his heart started pounding. The closer she got, the more red in the face he became, but Ochako was almost equally red when Izuku got closer. Uraraka-san, why you look amazing. Oh my gosh, Deku-kun. I love your slick back hair. You sure do smell nice. Thanks. Well, shall we head off to the mochi shop you? Like, you bet. I've been waiting for this all day. He takes her hand, and they start walking. Izuku didn't want any long, awkward pauses this time, so he immediately brought up their internships. So how did it go with Tsusan and Ryukyu-sensei yesterday? Yesterday was okay, I guess. This time she just wanted us to focus a little more on the behind-the-scenes stuff that's done at her agency, like paperwork reports and studying notes on local reported villains causing trouble recently. Going out and fighting is something we need plenty of practice for, but it really helps to get organized and have a plan for how we want to deal with the villains when we find them. I should take a page from you on that. You're particularly good at studying and recording the people you see. Thanks. If you want any pointers on that stuff, I'm happy to help. It became silent again for about 10 seconds, but this time Ochako broke the silence. What a wild past few days this has been. I can't believe we're dating. Has anyone else found out about us yet? Well, not to my knowledge. Mineta-san and Kaminari-san, being who they are, often tease me about how I should hit on you, but I don't think they've seen us together yet. Heh. I thought about telling my mom about us, but I haven't yet. It still feels so surreal, you know, said Deku. Did you end up telling anyone yet? I had to tell Momo-chan tonight, but only because I wanted to borrow a blouse from her. Don't worry, she thought it was cute, but our secret is safe with her. Ochako said, smiling. That's a relief. I'm just starting to get used to holding your hand. Remember how when we met for the first time you saved me from falling with your quirk? I was so caught off guard from that I said to myself afterward, oh my gosh, I just talked to a girl. Only to realize moments later that I didn't actually talk. They both chuckled at that. 10 minutes passed, and they arrived at the same restaurant as the one they were at when Stain attacked. The shop owner was pleasantly surprised to see them there so soon after that incident. Hey, you two. I'm so glad to see that you're doing well. Thanks so much for taking that guy down. My customers, and I owe you a debt of gratitude for that. A few other customers also recognized them and started applauding and cheering the two of them. Midoriya blushed, and Uraraka rubbed her neck nervously. Thanks. I'm just glad that everyone here is okay, replied Deku. So where are your other two friends? I hope I can see them again soon too, so we can all thank them, asked the shop owner. They're off doing their own thing, but we'll let them know the next time we see them. We wanted to have our own night out together this time, said Ochako. I see. Dating life sure can be fun for kids your age. I'll tell you what, as part of my expressing appreciation, order whatever you want tonight, and it's on the house. Both Uraraka and Midoriya became starry-eyed. Really? I love this place even more now. I originally just wanted mochi, but how about a teriyaki bowl too? Yes, same for me, Deku replied. Coming right up. They waited a few minutes and received their food. Once they started eating, karaoke came up for their next subject. Uraraka-san, what is it about karaoke that interests you so much? Are you just looking forward to laughing at my bad singing? Deku suddenly looks down in shame. Ochako giggled briefly and then said, I don't think I'm a great singer myself if it makes you feel any better, but singing something upbeat helps me snap out of a bad mood or if I feel nervous about something. Besides, I bet we could find songs that even bad singers could get through. I see. I never thought of karaoke like that. In that case, let's do a bunch of duet songs or something. I can even hide my singing better when it's not just me. Oh, Deku-kun, you're so cute about that. 30 minutes later, Deku and Uraraka finished eating and walked into town to the nearest karaoke bar to reserve themselves a room to sing for an hour. But just as they walked in, they couldn't help but notice that Denki Kaminari and Kyokujiro were there together about to walk into a room. They both bulged their eyes in shock and felt like hiding. They wanted to say hi, but Izuku was afraid to be discovered in their relationship, so they tried to be discreet about going to their room. It failed. Kaminari spotted them from the window of their room's door as Deku and Uraraka went in to sit down. Without thinking, he shouted, "Midoriya? Uraraka? Is that you?" Jiro frantically looked around for them with worry on their face. Huh? Where? The two of them also began to date recently, but she wasn't ready yet for other people to know. This changed things. Izuku and Ochako froze in their tracks. "Uh-oh, we've been seen," he said, getting red in the face. Ochako was less bothered by it, though, and figured it was futile to keep trying to hide it. "Hey, you two. Didn't think we'd bump into some classmates here," she said, smiling. Jiro, however, was looking down at the floor, embarrassed as could be, and didn't know what to say. All she could muster was a, "Hey guys." Kaminari just realized what he did and had a look of guilt on his face. "Damn it, Kaminari, you baka." Jiro then pierces him with one of her earphone lobes and shocks him briefly. "Please don't tell anyone. We wanted to keep this a secret." Jiro asked. "That's fine with me. The two of us just started dating ourselves. Tell you what, I didn't feel ready for other people to know about me and Uraraka-san yet either. Don't spill the beans on us, and we'll return the favor," said Midoriya. "So how long have the two of you been dating?" Kaminari asked. "It was actually just a few days ago that we decided." Ochako replied. "We've been through so much together lately, and I've had feelings for him that I kept bottled up for a while, but couldn't do it anymore after what happened with Stain the other day. I'm just glad he felt the same way after I confessed." She lays her head on his shoulder as she says that, and Deku smiles nervously. "Same for you." Well, it was a few months ago after that concert we put on for the festival. I was so thrilled that our performance was not only well received, but made Aries smile. I've always loved music, but kept it to myself for so long. But Kaminari really encouraged me to spearhead that project, and I was so thankful to him afterwards that I asked him to go to dinner with me. At first it was meant to be just as friends, but one thing led to another, and here we are. "Ah, that's so cute, Jiro-chan. I'm really happy for you guys." Kaminari then changes the subject. "So did you guys just get here, or have you already sung a bunch of songs?" "Just got here. But I haven't been to a karaoke bar myself in a while. I'm just too embarrassed at my singing, heh," says Izuku. "Then I have the perfect solution for you. Join us and just sing with Jiro-chan as the lead voice. It's no secret how good she is with singing, and she even knows plenty of English songs too." "Great idea, Kaminari-san. That'll be a lot of fun," says Uraraka. "Speaking of that, I was just about to look up an old favorite of mine before we spotted each other. Have you ever heard the song Nothing Else Matters by Metallica?" asked Jiro. "I doubt it. I don't think I can handle heavy metal. All the screaming vocals remind me of Kakin," replied Midoriya. "Oh, don't worry about that. This is one of the only slow songs they've ever made. The beat is pretty easy to follow, and I've always interpreted the lyrics to imply not being afraid to go out and do your own thing. It even sounds romantic in some parts." Jiro says, blushing. "I'm game. How about you, Deku-kun?" "Well, if you say so. I hope we don't butcher it in the background." "Welp, here we go then." She clicks on the screen for the song to start, and an acoustic guitar starts playing. A minute-long intro passes by, and then they start singing. So close no matter how far. Couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. And nothing else matters. Never open myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. All these words I don't just say. And nothing else matters. Trust one seek, and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters. Never cared for what they do, never cared for what they know, but I know. The song continues for a few more minutes with the same lyrics repeating, and then ends. "Wow, that was awesome. I wish I heard this song a long time ago," said Deku. "Me too. We should hang out more for music stuff. You're opening our eyes to all kinds of stuff," said Ochako. Jiro smiled. "I guess it really is true what my parents taught me. Hero work and being a musician aren't all that different. It can really help bring people together and lift a person's spirits when they're feeling down. So how about another song? She asks. Let's go for it. They each say in unison. Uraraka-san, what song would you be interested in picking right now? Asked Midoriya. Oh, this one won't surprise you, I'm sure. She giggles. Let's sing Happy by Pharrell Williams. They each smile at her response. That song is so you, Jiro remarks. They program the song, and they start singing immediately. It might seem crazy what I am about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby by the way. Huh, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news talking this and that, yeah. Well, give me all you got. Don't hold back, yeah. Well, I should probably warn you I'll be just fine, yeah. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down. Can't nothing. Bring me down. My level's too high to bring me down. Can't nothing. Bring me down, I said. Bring me down. Can't nothing. Bring me down. My level's too high to bring me down. Can't nothing. Bring me down, I said. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. All four of them applaud her performance. Ochako had the choreography down perfectly and everything. Then she looked over at Midoriya. All right, Deku-kun, it's your turn to pick one. He blushed and looked nervous again. Well, I saw this song on YouTube a lot when I first started seriously training to get into UA. It's a song that really motivated me to keep pushing when things got tough. I especially like it because I don't sound as bad at singing with this one. Let's sing Do Better by Say Anything. The other three also smile at his choice. Life is not a spark in space. An episode of Will and Grace. Controversial, yet mundane. Deborah's messing with your brain. Even Scientologists. No, there's more to all of this. Search the ruins for trapdoors. Wonder what you're put here for. Simple as a hint of gas. Climbing nostrils as you pass. Making Harvard graduates feel childish when they laugh at it. Climb the rungs to kingdom come. Sour Patch to acid tongue. Are you opposed to having fun? You clench the world between your bun. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. Your life is always the post of something else. Where's the present? The way that you present yourself. And it's disgusting how little that you try. The existential equivalent of pink eye. Drink alone and watch TV. You're expecting harmonies. To tap you out tune with silver spoons. The anthem of impending doom. Guiding Satan's steady hand. Forcing Beatles to disband. It's eco-freaks and drama queens. The young at heart know what I mean. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. You could do better. Better than that. You're a fraud. Thank God you learned to keep your shirt on. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. You burn so brightly. You burn so brightly in the dark. You burn so brightly. You burn so. You burn so. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. You could do better. Better than that. You're a fraud. Thank God you learned to keep your shirt on. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. You could do better. You could do better. You could be the greatest man in the world. Whoa. We could do better. We could do better. We could be the greatest band in the world. Whoa. Deku just hurries back to sit down again, but the other three of them give him a standing ovation for getting through it. Way to go, Deku-kun. I knew you picked the right hero name. This song screams your personality. She then kisses him on the cheek and makes him blush crimson red. Jiro and Kaminari chuckle. Your turn, Kaminari. The girls then say in unison. Okay, I know just the song for heroes in training, just like us. Let's sing Hero by Nickelback. Wow, how original. Jiro says tongue-in-cheek and jovially. Yeah, I figured you knew this was coming. You know we had to do this song tonight. He programs the song, and they start singing. I am so high. I can hear heaven. I am so high. I can hear heaven. Whoa, but heaven. No, heaven don't hear me. And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not going to stand here and wait. I'll hold on to the wings of the eagles. Watch as we all fly away. Someone told me love would all save us. But how can that be? Look what love gave us. A world full of killing and BLD spilling. That world never came. And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not going to stand here and wait. I'll hold on to the wings of the eagles. Watch as we all fly away, high. Now that the world isn't ending, it's love that I'm sending to you. It isn't the love of a hero, and that's why I fear it won't do. And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not going to stand here and wait. I'll hold on to the wings of the eagles. Watch as we all fly away. And they're watching us. And they're watching us. As we all fly away. And they're watching us. And they're watching us. As we all fly away. And they're watching us. And they're watching us. As we all fly away. Whoa. They clap at Kaminari for really getting into it. Well, what do you say? You guys up for a few more songs? Absolutely, says Ochako. This is the most fun I've had in a long time. Izuku then chimes in. I can't believe I'm saying this. Let's keep going. Kaminari and Jiro grin. Another hour passed, and they each ended up having an awesome time at the karaoke bar, but they also were spent. They knew another rough day of training was just around the corner, and they needed to part ways in order to prepare for it. You know, I wasn't looking forward to this part of the night at first because of my singing, but I'm glad we bumped into each other. Singing with friends helps you forget about all that, said Izuku. Hey, you bet. Doing this with you guys is making me think I should bring music into my hero life more. Just as it helped Eri, it can help ourselves and each other. Jiro replied. Next time we are in the mood to go sing, we will keep you guys in mind. This was even more fun with the two of you. See you guys later. Uraraka said as they each picked up and left to start heading back to the dorms. As Deku and Uraraka walked back home, they weren't shy about holding hands and gave each other a quick kiss before reaching the UA campus and went straight back to their dorm rooms. Once they arrived at their rooms, they each went to sleep without any trouble at all. Midoriya and Ochako both had smiles on their faces as they drifted off. It was the first night in quite a while that they each got to do something fun and not have it ruined by an unforeseen event. Speaking of unforeseen events, hero training can be brutal, but a different kind of brutal was coming their way, learning how to address the media. So, this was the end of part 2 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.